Welcome back. And as usual, we've had generous conversation on break, and we always find something that just stood out to us or something that ended up in greater dialogue, but it's just really an amazing thing, and we're actually able to bring it back into the next segment, so I love that. But Valpy and Coretta, I want to do this segment a little different.
Okay.
So we really want to emphasize, we've touched a little bit about the coronavirus, COVID-19, if you want to effectually refer to it in that way. But I want to get into a bit of reality about life socially.
Yeah.
So, Coretta, I found it interesting this evening, and we're just going to jump right into the social aspect of the coronavirus, COVID-19, if you want to refer to it that way, and all of the different buzz terms that have been around, but they're now emphasized. Social distancing is one of them.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting when I saw you walking up to the door and I'm walking to greet you. Our normal routine is like this amazing hug and all these wonderful pleasantries. And I'm saying to myself, that's my girl.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not social distancing in this moment. I want to give her a hug. I want those good vibes and everything else. So the reality is social distancing at this moment, it really makes sense for a lot of different reasons. But it's been a fear for me, to be honest, because we are already in a society where I felt like we were at a distance anyway. So now we've given people free range or a ticket to now be antisocial and very disconnected from each other. So I want you, both of you, to speak on that and your take on social distancing.
For me, I'll start with the term in itself.
Okay.
And I think back to one of the pastors that I listen to very often on YouTube, Pastor Tony Evans. And he said it's not so much that it's social distancing, but it's more so physical. We physically are not being able to interact in the same way that we have been able to with all the restrictions due to wanting to protect each other.
Yes.
And even when we saw each other, that was very hard.
Yes.
And because we're still being social, we think about social media, we think about our phones, we think about even when we get to FaceTime our family members, we're not physically probably present with them in that moment, but yet we're still having this social interaction with them. And I would say that was a good thought for me. It was a good spin on it for me. And I think that's really more so what it is. But like you said, I do think it's something very important that we should take heed to.
Yes.
By all means, because when we are in our social spaces, we do like to hug. And then the thing about COVID-19 that I'm sure most of us, and us sitting here, have come to realize that it's one of those things where we don't know who actually has it.
Right.
I can approach my brother and he may not show any symptoms in that moment, but it still can be something that's alive and well in his system. And he may not know and I may not know. So I think that's even more of a reason why we should adhere to what the individuals are telling us to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe and respecting each other's personal space as well.
And I'm going to say that, and I say that too, what makes it even more of a pressing issue is for the people that you're very fond of or that you're very close to, your family, your relatives, and everything else. And I'm telling people, you just have to use wisdom and judgment. And I'm even emphasizing at this point, let's rule it in or out. Let's advance to the place where we're choosing to get tested. Now that is an option for us, because I know a lot of people, they feel like as long as I don't have the symptoms, I'm fine. And that is not necessarily the case. So Valpy, what do you feel about that?
Well, it's funny. Me and my wife was having a conversation about it, and say like maybe 25, 20 years ago, maybe even 15, this would be a hard thing. But this society and this generation, this is beautiful for them. They're going online, creating videos. We're in this time where they're going on Instagram and YouTube and making all of these videos and being creative and doing things that everybody's on there doing.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is a great time for them. Stay in the house, just do those. You know, and I think if it was a different generational time, it wouldn't be as easy to do so, because I think they already was doing that.
Yes.
They were already where we're like so distant from each other. We're only connecting or interacting on social media. You're quick to say hi to somebody and have a conversation with somebody online, but walk right past somebody you see on the street.
Absolutely.
You don't say nothing to them. So I think we was already doing that with certain people. It's just like, you don't ever say nothing to nobody. You know, and like I think my daughter even said she did I guess the introverts.
Yes.
The one that they love this, what we already was doing anyway too, even on a different scale. So.
It's amazing. I'm an ambivert, and it simply means that you have a combination of being an introvert and an extrovert. So I'm by nature an introvert. I prefer to stay to myself. I'm very good with solitude. I get most of my clarity in that way. But by profession and trade and everything that I've chosen to do or God called me to do, it forces me to be an extrovert. So I've had to learn how to connect with people and deal with people and interact, which I thank God because it's built my social skills. But what do I lean to? We all lean to one side or the other, even if we're able to conquer both. But I want to throw a curveball to you because I saw a very interesting video clip of beachgoers down in Miami before they shut everything down, which I understand they've gone to kind of ground zero. And the one thing the young lady was saying was, I don't understand what they think. I'm young. I'm a millennial. I'm in the throes of my life. So how are you going to tell me I can't go out? I can't interact. I'm not supposed to enjoy my spring break, my graduation, and all of these things. And it was really everybody seated, and it was quite a few young people around her. I would say average age was probably middle 20s, maybe somewhere up in there. And they were saying, we don't get it. If we're going to get it, we're going to get it. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. Let us enjoy ourselves and have a good time.
Wow.
So what would you say to that?
Well, first thing, let me just, something I want to say, when you call yourself a intro or...
It's an introvert or extrovert, but I'm an ambivert, which means a combination of both.
Well, I think you just helped me define myself in that too, because I'm the same way.
Okay.
I can be at my house by myself, but by trade, what I do, I'm socializing with everybody around. People want to, like, traveling. My wife was a traveler. I only traveled by the trade I was doing.
Right.
Doing concerts. I'd rather be at home.
Right.
But that's the one thing I want to say when you said that.
No, I think it's good to
Yeah.
identify because now you can even help people understand, because I had to actually share that with my husband. So don't take it personally when I choose to separate. It's just that I need this moment, I need this time. When I come out of it, I'm ready to engage and it's going to be amazing. But if you don't give me this time, it throws me completely off.
There you go.
So, yeah, definitely. So, as far as that goes, it's a hard thing because I try my best not to judge other people. So, that's the one thing I always do when I see other things. I can't judge them on whatever they're doing. Everybody has their decisions they need to make for themselves.
Yes.
When it comes to this, where we're at, we're in a place where I've never been before. A lot of people have never been before.
Yes.
So the reaction to it is going to come off different based on your perspective or what it is. These young kids, they're like, well, the people that, from the information they're getting, and even I've gotten, most times, the people, if they get it, ain't got nothing happen to them. So you're going to do things based on what you care about. So if you don't have any older family members that you worry that they're going to get it, you're like, why should I worry about that? And that's usually the case with anything when it comes to a lot of things that's going on with society. If that don't affect me, directly, why should it matter to me? So it's like, to me, I'm like, I understand, I get it from both sides. Yes. I get it from them, I understand where they're coming from, I understand where, society and the government and everybody that's trying to get these things taken care of, where they're coming from.
So that's what makes it difficult, because now you say social distancing, but I also say now social responsibility. Because now you have to be responsible. I understand how you feel. And I know that spring break and everything else, my graduations and everything else that I've attended was hugely important to me. Even for those graduating from the 12th grade. I've actually encouraged parents to create a semblance of a ceremony and to record it. Going from the 5th to 6th grade is not going to happen again. Going from the 8th to 9th grade is not going to happen again. Graduating from high school is not going to happen again. And some of those memories are the best memories for a lot of people. So now you use technology and everything you have before you, but your family can come to this at your home, immediate family, and you make this something that is beautiful to remember. Why can't we get a cap and gown and decorate it and different things? And they're looking at me like, I haven't thought of that. Why not create a universal, even for the school district, as a consideration, a page where everybody can upload their different thing that they're doing to celebrate their memories and their graduation.
They can help me give me some ideas.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was amazing. You do not have to suffer and vegetate in the midst of it. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. New normal. I know what we've always done. I know what is traditional, but that is what's impeding a lot of growth and development because we're not willing to think or step outside the box.
And I would say even too, thinking of it when you were speaking earlier, LP, about how for the generation that is tech savvy and Instagram, and because when I graduated out of high school, Facebook was in place, but it was more for the college population, and it became more for my generation at that time, going to college myself, and then high schoolers got onto it. But my point is, I think what it has done for some families, it actually has, so for words to say, forced them to be physically present with each other more than they would have been if it was the normal prior to this. And I think that's one of the good things that has came out of this, or that can come out of this. A lot of fathers who, because of work, and I'm not saying that to say it about them being laid off or not having employment anymore, with all sincerity to that. However, even a lot of parents, they still have their jobs, but now they're working at home.
Yes.
So they're in the home more than they would have been before all of this. So just looking at some of the stories that I've been able to hear of what is coming out of this for families and for parents. And although, you know, as we may talk a little bit about how it could be so chaotic now in households because kids are not in school and then parents are not physically at work and now everybody's like in this melting pot together and trying to like maneuver through that. Like, how do we actually do this? Because usually at 2 o'clock or at 12 o'clock, I'm in the break room at the job. You're at school, probably at lunch, or going to your next class. Like, this is not, our brains trying to figure out what do we do with this?
Or I have the freedom in the past of going, sitting down at the restaurant. I can sit down with my colleagues. I can actually have the freedom to go out in the community and conduct sessions.
Exactly.
Haven't you been at the beach? I've been at a park. I've been at all type of different places. And it's to emphasize healing takes place wherever it takes place.
Of course.
It's your intentionality towards it. But we don't have to be restricted, although traditionally, even traditionally for therapy, you have the visualization of the couch and the therapist sitting in the chair. And we're far beyond that now. That's not even what it looks like. That's not what it feels like. So we have to be able to advance. You said something I thought was hugely important. You respect and understand the mindset. That's where the pushback comes. When you're telling me now, oh, that's crazy, you shouldn't think like that, that doesn't make any sense. No, I'm saying to myself, I'm not in that moment. I'm far removed from that. How many experiences have I had? God blesses me this year, I'll be 50 years old. So it's totally different, but I can't discount how they feel.
Of course.
So now I say, to some degree, that's why there have been the shutdowns and the lockdowns, because we can't atone for everybody at this point.
Of course.
We just have to make a general. You just told me Broward County. You
Yeah.
told me Miami. Stricter stipulations, and I'm sure more to come. But it's to say, okay, socially responsible, we now have to rein this in.
And I think too, earlier I saw that they were speaking about I think it was a doctor. He was videoing from his hospital room, and he's about 42, I want to say. And one thing that he was placing emphasis on is that they, for so long, and I think it was because of what they knew at the time, have portrayed or have told us that this virus is more so vulnerable to the elderly and to those who may have cancer or other illnesses already And I think that is still definitely true.
Absolutely.
But I think it has brought about an underestimation of how it can impact my generation.
Absolutely.
How it can impact that 20-year-old that was on the beach saying, hey, like, this is not, it's for the senior citizens, because of how the information that has been put out about who it would primarily, or who it would impact the most as far as the population is concerned. And as they're going now,
great point.
They're realizing that, hey, listen, we're all pretty much more vulnerable than we thought we were. Not so much one over the other at this point.
Absolutely.
So I think that's turning the story, or that's turning a page, and it's that we didn't probably see coming, or, we're having to now realize.
And I'm saying, even for children who they're saying, even if they contract the coronavirus, it's much milder. The symptoms and everything else. I'm saying I don't want to do this injustice to my immune system and have to even battle it.
Of course.
And I'm even saying to myself, of age now, okay, there was a time when I was young, maybe 4 hours of sleep was good for me. But I know now I'm not in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I know now I need echinacea. I need the elderberry. I need to boost my immune system. There are things that I need to do where someone who's young probably, is really not emphasizing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the state and the place that we're in. But one thing before we transition, because I'm going to take you in another direction, is to say we have to be considerate to everybody.
Of course.
Right.
And understand that's why so many conversations and dialogue and different perspectives. That's where people get into conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to counter your perspective because it's how you believe. I'm here to give you fact-based information and allow you to better choose if you so desire. But I cannot make you.
Mm-hmm.
All I can do is give you the facts.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you said something, Coretta, that I'm going to put a spin on because I thought it was hugely important. Because I had mentioned it very briefly because I didn't want it to be overly emphasized in a negative way. However, when you put people in a closed environment, it raises the risk of domestic violence and abuse. And for the different things that are clearly because those cities on the lockdown have already saw a spike in calls and cases.
Wow.
So now we're left to the understanding and shifting back to emotions.
Yeah.
How we're able to control ourselves, how we're able to calm ourselves. And to be honest, I've gotten inboxes and telephone calls about this. People are actually in the throes of it. And the guidance is a bit different at this point. Because it's not necessarily me saying go out, pick up your family, and find a safe place.
Yep.
Because right now the question mark is where's
it?
where's the
Right?
safe place
Where is the safe
and
place?
who's safe?
Yep.
And a lot of entities are now closed; they're not available. So, what is your take or perspective to say? And you know this to be the reality: your family's in the home more, your children are in the home more. What are you doing to effectively mitigate the probability of emotions running high, spilling over, escalation, and all the different things that can happen?
For me, it's really like making sure that I am taking, because I'm in the middle too, I'm an ambivert as well.
Yes.
And just really, because I think for me, it's being self-aware.
Yes.
And really like understanding that just because we're all in this house together, that doesn't mean that we have to be all in the same room all day long, right?
Absolutely.
So like, although
I
it's
tell my
one
husband that all the
house-
time, sugar, this house is big.
right? Although it's in one
Show
room,
together.
like although it's one room, we still have to be intentional about our self-care and about, even if you are an extrovert and you don't really need that introvert moment to really gain energy and strength and get yourself together, but just really understanding that, hey, listen, like we still are responsible for ourselves within the family system or the system that we're part of. But just for me, it's just really been like trying to keep things as whatever I can keep normal. If I'm used to waking up and kind of being by myself already in meditation and prayer, I want to keep doing that, and then just also being intentional about taking advantage of those times where, hey, y'all, let's get together, let's play a game. We wouldn't have had this opportunity if it wasn't for this. So kind of finding that balance is hard. And then for me, I know I don't have I do have kids in my home. My mom is a home daycare provider. But as far as within my own self being a parent and having kids home now. So I can't really speak from that lane necessarily.
But it's like you're getting secondary exposure.
Yeah.
So you're getting it, because I'm sure you help her out. I know you do.
I try very hard, but sometimes I'm more selfish. I'm in my own lane. Like they're inside, I'm outside with my little own makeshift office. I try to help her. So, but my point is, to answer your question, really simply is to just make sure that we're still having those moments to breathe. If the parent has to go in the bathroom really quick, just, I don't know, do some deep breathing, turn on the Calm app or the Headspace app, something like that. Understand that you still have to be even more intentional about finding that balance of although we're all in this house together for all this time, we still need to have
to figure it out.
We still need space, time together, and we still need that time apart.
I think that's an amazing point, and I'm going to shift to you, VLP, but you did say even some of the things that we've introduced. I can now share this with you and emphasize, now you take responsibility for yourself. Because I'm doing it for me. What about you, VLP? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, you do need that in the house, like a lot of times with the kids. Oh, Lord, with those kids. Listen.
What ages are you dealing with?
6, 10, and 15.
Wow.
And 3 of our birthdays, my son, myself, and my daughter, all our birthdays next month. So they'll be 7 and 11 coming up. And the 15-year-old, she's always in her room. You know, she's separated, and she makes sure that it's known the kids don't come in my room. So the other two, they're the ones that's back and forth with stuff. And so I tell them, like, y'all gotta separate from each other, those two especially. You know, go in your room, go here and there. I go in my room a lot of times, I close my door.
Yes.
You know, and it's so funny because, like, my wife, when she gets rest, a lot of times, if the kids making a lot of noise, she gets up and make noise, blah, blah. And the general consensus is, oh, they let you sleep, they don't let me sleep. I say, no. When I'm going to sleep or taking a nap, I'm going to take a nap.
Yes.
And regardless of no they make, I'm going to nap. But there's times if you wake me up, I'm going to make sure everybody, you know, so that's
it's a situation.
Right.
situation. But I'm like, no, when I'm napping, I'm gone. But I do make sure, I have to, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, my office area, when we move to, it's more out and open now,
Yes.
where everybody's kind of around, and I have to shut things down. But then a lot of times I go in my room and I close my door.
But it's
and
also, too, a testament to what you've instilled in your children.
Mhm.
And you set boundaries clearly and expectations. When I'm resting, disturb me if it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
right.
And if it's not, you're old enough or you're structured enough to attend to yourself. You know how to make you a sandwich.
Mhm.
Or you know how to do certain things for you. You know how to go and turn on television, sit down and watch what you need to watch and allow me to get the rest. But I want to emphasize to you both something I found to be hugely important. Inside a household, especially now in this situation, we are obligated to learn the personality styles and the dynamics of everybody.
Yep.
That includes mental illness,
Yeah.
if that be the case.
Yeah.
So if a person is dealing with depression, or they're dealing with ADHD, or they're dealing with anxiety, and they have all these myriad of things, that's a melting pot. And it's easily to erupt. But if I understand that you are dealing with high levels of anxiety, it is important for me to understand what triggers you.
Yeah.
Right.
So if abruptly walking up on you is going to cause you to escalate, hey, I'm coming in the room.
Yeah.
You know,
Give a heads
if you're
up.
depressed and you're in bed all day, it would be just a testimony to me understanding the nature of you. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to, get up and come out and talk to me. Come out and watch this movie with me. And be that kind of presence, but you got to know what you're working on.
Of course. Of course.
You have that self-conscious to understand, because I know a lot of times when it comes to dealing with kids or wife or anybody, sometimes you got to just stop and just like remember.
Yeah.
You have to be self-conscious of those things. Sometimes you can forget, and then you're like, wait, you know what? Let me just, you know, like just an example, small example. I have a friend that's a friend of the family, and we like Martin and Pam, you know, but then every night I go.
Martin and Pam?
Martin and Pam from the Martin Show. They crack
Martin
me each other.
and, oh,
No,
I thought
Martin
you
and Pam,
thought
no.
you don't put
No,
them
no,
all.
that's it. No, you know, they always cracking each other. You know, that was their dynamic.
Okay.
But you know, but sometimes you know what? Let me just I know we do this a lot, but let me just make sure we straight for it because I don't want to because sometimes you could just think that we good. And I always do this, but then sometimes they might feel some kind of way. They won't ever say nothing. So I just make sure hey, we good because you know it's all love.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know. Okay, now we can go back to doing what we do. You know, but sometimes you have to do that because sometimes you never know.
Of course.
People might start getting feeling a certain kind of way.
Or you said
Yeah.
the wrong thing
You
at the
said the
wrong
wrong
day
thing.
at the wrong time, and there you go.
And they feel obligated. No, you know, they got to accept it because they always do that. But
Right.
no, so let me make sure we straight. Let me make sure you good. I might have not, you know. So sometimes I have that self-conscious and think about things, and then just like, hey, you all right? Because I know a lot of times we haven't been, you know. And I try my best to do that when I get clarity in my head. I say, you know what? You know, my daughter got me mad. And I dealt with her some kind of way, but let me go back and just make sure. Listen, you know, I love you, right? And everything is cool. I really try to do that with my kids, you know, or whoever I deal with, because I've always been that kind of way where if I had to lash out on anybody, no matter what they did to me, if I lash out some kind of way because of my anger, I've always felt some kind of way when afterwards I was like, man, I shouldn't have did that. And I went back to if I had enough in me, I had to grow into that, but it always was something that affected me, you know. So when I got older, and more experience and mature.
Yes.
Then
I
I was like,
mature.
mature. Then I was like, you know what? Now go back and make sure that's straight.
I love what you said though, because it lends to responsibility that when we offend and hurt people, we know exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
It is if you're willing to atone.
Yeah.
And I experienced that today as a new client, and somehow she got the message misconstrued. I'm coming out to you. We'll meet. We do what we need to do. But she ended up at the main office.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls me, and I'm listening in the background where she's just literally giving the receptionist she just laid it out. And to be honest with you, it had already been explained to her, but she missed it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we're meeting, and she's like, you heard all that, and I even calmed you, and she's like, you're so calm, and you're smiling, you're nice. I said, I'm good.
Yeah.
I said, so my goal here is to now de-escalate this.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, let's reason through this.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because you missed it. It was given.
Yeah.
Little inconvenience because it wasn't that far. But how are you going to fix this?
Yeah.
And she thought about it for a little bit because her thing was never fixing.
Yeah.
Her thing was explaining.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did this because I said, but you were wrong. How are you going to fix it? And we ultimately reasoned that you need to apologize. Whether you call, whether you do it in person, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
Because now you wrecked somebody else's day.
That's good.
And you never took responsibility for this.
Yep.
Even when I come see you, you're questioning me. Why am I good? Why? Because I'm not going to take on your position and your place right now of emotional upheaval. No, I got in the car on my way to you. I was good.
Yeah.
And when I parked this car, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm choosing.
Yeah.
But what I hope I can help you see is how you've misstepped in this situation. It was completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I know emotions are higher, everything else. But what are you going to do to fix it?
Yep.
I think it's something that you learn, and I think I just remember that might have been placed on me a while back when I was like in third grade, and I think it was a teacher's aide, and whatever happened, I don't know why it happened, but I'm in the cafeteria and I'm upset, and whatever happened, I ended up going off on a teacher's aide in the cafeteria, and she was inappropriate to go back at me like I think I said something and she was like your mama and whatever it was, and I'm like but I'm really embarrassed because these other kids laughing at what she did.
Take it, right?
And I remember just being upset. But I guess as her being mature or learning that she kind of shouldn't went at me like a kid, she wrote me a poem. She came at me like the next day or whatever it was. I just remember, and she was like I was wrong, blah blah. And she wrote a poem in Lemonade. I don't know what happened to it, but I remember that she came back there and apologized to me for how she, dealt with it. I didn't go to my mom. I didn't go to nobody. I just like,
And you never forgot it.
You never forgot it.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And that's half the battle with conflict.
Yeah.
We know when we misstep. I tell people that all the time. It's what you're willing to do to either atone and fix it or what you're not. And a lot of it rests on pride.
Yeah, of course.
Ego.
Of course.
And all of these different things that are hugely detrimental. But we end up hurting each other over and over and over again unnecessarily. Yeah. So a lot of things could have been fixed or never resolved because we simply won't humble us.
Exactly.
Of course.
And I have to say, humbling is clearly not the easiest thing to do. So with that, I think it's excellent dialogue on that. So let's cap it off. Balance.
Balance. Balance. Balance is honestly, I think, having that first it starts with the foundation. Before you can balance anything, you have to get your foundation together. Okay. Right? And so for me, like I said, one of the biggest things during this time or times to come is we want to continue to, number one, seek beyond ourselves. And for us, as we've communicated here at this table, we seek into Christ. We seek a higher power than ourselves because we can't do it all on our own, even with some of the best natural support around. Absolutely. It has to be higher than us to help us go higher, to help us overcome. And then from there, continue to self-reflect. Right? And like you said, being responsible for ourselves and all this stuff, it's a daily journey. Like I want us to have the mindset to get up and understand, like, it's work to live. It is. You have to put in work to live. And I shouldn't say put in work to live, but put in work to thrive. That's a word that I love. Because you can wake up and just exist all day long. But if you want to come out here and you want to be victorious, whatever situation is going on, you have to make a choice to say, today I'm going to live. And that includes me seeking God. That includes me continuing to look at myself and self-reflect and be aware. And then being aware of the people in my space, in the environment that I'm in.
That's beautiful.
Whether that's in the house with my kids because we're on quarantine or whatever that looks like, or whether that's at work with my coworkers or with my clients or whatever that looks like for us, we need to be self-aware of ourselves, of God, and then of each other. So I would say that. And in that, I think balance kind of in so many ways is naturally created. it's you know how all you need are the ingredients, and you can bake the cake.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't bake the cake without the ingredients, but if you have the ingredients, you can bake the cake. So balance does itself justice when it has those ingredients in place, and you may have to put a little umph in it. But
I was going to say,
there,
if you go a little bit deeper with the analogy, you have to have not only the right ingredients, but the right amount.
Yes, exactly.
Which lands back to what I said about knowing who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with, and what you need to do to atone for it.
Yep. So,
very good. Phil, maturity.
Yeah, maturity is growth. You learning from past mistakes, past situations, things you may have failed in something, but you learn from it and you grow. You take action, a new action, even if it was a mistake. You say, okay, in accepting your part in any situation, accepting the things that you did, so you grow from it and know to do better.
Absolutely.
And then that's how you go forward in maturity. Like the things I did before, I know better now. Mm-hmm. I don't continue doing them just because, I got an excuse.
Grown man moves.
Grown man moves,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I've always, me personally, I've always been around older people. That was always my thing, and because I like to learn from them. Yeah. I think I always wanted an older brother or sister. I'm the oldest in my family, so a lot of times I learned from the things they did, and I capitalized on that in my life, so that I did that wrong, but now I could do this better. And I always look back on mistakes, certain things. I was like, man, that was a mistake. I'm embarrassed by that old mistake, but now I know to do better, so I should do it. Yeah.
But let's say that that's intentional, because I tell anybody, and I say it quite a bit, maturity is not a number count.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of 40, 50, 60, 70 plus that are really not mature. And they're still making a lot of the mistakes that were really for the younger age.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which is meaning, in a sense, they had not learned the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So you can intentionally choose not to learn the lesson. You can intentionally deny that there is a lesson, but it's only hurting you. So everybody does not mature by birth date or by advancing forward in this life. It's an intentional process of learning what you didn't know, being open to receive, and learning from what you've done wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And even accepting that I've done something wrong. Because if you're always excusing it away, or you're the person that always gets it right, you're never going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an amazing testament. And I'm just going to close it out to really understanding the people in your circle. Yeah. Especially up close and personal.
Of course.
Everyone has a different personality style. Everybody's wired different.
Yep.
If mental illness to any degree is present, you're going to have to consider that. Mm-hmm. And if the individual is not taking responsibility for it and you are aware, it is a very cautious and carefully crafted conversation, but you can help them. Mm-hmm. You can even point out some things and say, hey, did you think about this or think about that? And I say it, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Virtual therapy, is a great option, but it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. But if that person fits inside that mold and they don't want to do the traditional route, it's a great way to explore now. So there's really no rhyme or reason to leave yourself unattended. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to thank our sponsors. Coretta Talbot, Coretta Speaks Life. Harris Boys Photography. The House of Love Illionaires.
have Vel P, who's filming for me.
Just finished my photo shoot with Vel P Entertainment, and I am so pleased with Vel P Production.
Here doing it with Vel P Entertainment. Vel P
Photography. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Make sure you hit up Vel P Entertainment and Photography.
So with that, I'm going to transition again because I'm keeping you all going. I think this is very important because I've heard mixed reviews and I have my own feelings about the stimulus package.
Mm.
The $2 trillion that somehow we've miraculously come up with to stimulate this economy and keep it going.
Right.
There are many who say that it's a conspiracy. It's a way to lock us in and get us to commit to another term of a president. It's another way to keep us downtrodden and held back and all of these wonderful things. And then there are some who say we deserve it. Okay, we really need it. The coronavirus, through no fault of our own, has devastated us and we deserve that. So Coretta, what is your take, or what have you been hearing, or what do you feel about it?
I've been basically hearing those things that you mentioned, a variety of those different perspectives or opinions about it. But I will say this: if they put any money in my account, I'm going to use it. I'm sure, like I'm going to use it. Like I'm letting you know, I'm going to use it.
Okay.
And with the respect, I will say, I know myself. I spend extra money on groceries that you need groceries, but I brought more items than I would at one time.
Right.
You know, so I get it, and it took me out of my budget typically, so on and so forth. But I just wouldn't. I just hope that it doesn't turn it. I've seen it for our community and maybe for other ethnic backgrounds, but I speak about my beautiful people that I love dearly, from near and far. We could get into the mentality like as if though, how can I say? Okay, we can become like, okay, it's so old to, okay. Basically, a lot of us are not always putting in, but we expect so much out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And so, those are usually the loudest individuals about it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so for me, I just hope that it would be a blessing. It would be something that can help those who have had to spend out, which most of us have, all of us have.
Absolutely.
In one way or another.
Even
hands
just
down.
prepping.
Just in general, right?
Yes.
And so I don't know. It's so many different opinions out there. I'm just like, you know what, Jesus, like, just help us, Lord. You know, I'm just kind of like, I'm in the middle. I'm just like, oh.
And
okay.
if you even have reservations about it, and I've had to say this very candidly, especially if you have children.
Yeah.
And you know, even if you feel it's a conspiracy or whatever that is concerned, and it's a pivot back and forth between do I feed my family or do I rest on the side of what my fears and anxieties are about what conspiracy is resting, if you have a check in your hand.
Of course. Yeah.
I said there's no way, I personally feel, that you can justify not doing what is appropriate to do.
Of course.
So the way that we quell fears and calm fears is through education.
Mm-hmm.
So to really pay attention to, as much as possible, what the stimulus package is constructed of.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the expectations around it? I even said that for those who are accepting loans, to understand a loan means there's going to be a repayment period.
Yep.
It may get you through this moment, but there are things on the flip side of it. And then we choose. But we don't choose
out of not knowing,
out of fear, out of propaganda, the different things that are surfacing here, especially if you know that your children are going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vel-P, what do you think?
Well, I kind of been trying to study on it as much information as possible. I already know personally, if I get money, I'm gonna just get that money. You know, because I don't know. You know, it's a lot of things people could be saying, and it's a lot of opinions, a lot of experts, and this and that and the other. I'm just like, to each his own. Because when it comes down to it, you're gonna just be responsible for it. Because no matter what you say, if you say that this happens and it happens, and you want to say I told you so, it's gonna just be at that point. It's, what are you gonna do? You know. So I'm like, in the end, I'm a realist.
Yes.
And I'm like, regardless of what goes on, there's gonna be a whole bunch of people that have never listened to whatever anybody said, no matter how educated it comes across. They just don't want to do whatever they, you know, and that's different ethnic backgrounds, you know. So to me, I'm like, I'm not finna worry myself about people that ain't gonna listen. If I know anything that I believe that's gonna come to pass, like such as where we're kind of going with these lockdowns, I didn't put it out there with everybody. I put it out to people who I feel should need it. If they receive it, if they don't, and from that point I'm like,
but you knew it was coming.
But I knew it was coming, but I still know that people still doubt it.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna worry myself about it. That's not gonna,
of course.
because you can't, because I'm at the point where I'm understanding even more because of this. It's just because people just, it's gonna be a fire. You're gonna scream it out to the top of your lungs. People gonna still run into the fire and burn.
Yeah.
It just at that point. So I'm like, you know what? Now I really got a perspective of reach one, teach one. Mm-hmm. You gotta try to reach up the whole crowd.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's not so. When it comes to me and my family, as far as me and my house,
yes,
send the money,
mm-hmm.
and we're gonna do what we need to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm telling people too.
Yeah.
I said you have to be, it once again rests on responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You said something that makes sense. You're taking the initiative and the responsibility of educating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if it means whatever it means, you understand that up front.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
However, I have clients within the range of 7 to 10 children.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying $500 a child? That is going to change the whole game for someone who cannot pay their bills, keep their lights on, keep food in the house and everything else. So what I'm asking those who feel like it's a conspiracy or whatever is just to consider that the constructs of someone else's life is what causes them to dictate what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot rest in judgment because of it.
Did you not live in that person's situation?
You just really don't know.
Yeah.
But don't make them feel any way about it or out of sorts about it, or that they're
decision
wrong
they make.
about it for
Mhm.
making a decision to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it goes back to the perspective. People don't think outside themselves a lot of times.
Yes.
They don't try or they don't have the capacity to do so or even attempt to, and that's what goes down. You don't understand this person why they doing that.
Yes.
You ain't try to attempt to understand what goes on because it's not just black and white.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've always done in my life is always I won't say devil's advocate, but be advocate. Like when I see, even if somebody wronged me,
Mm-hmm.
I might have an issue or whatever at the time, but then I'm also like, well, why would they do that? And I'm thinking in their mind like, this is probably why they did that, and it's gonna help me chill out because they might have said whatever, but guess what? They might have been just jealous for whatever reason. And okay, you see me online. I never said I was rich, but I carry myself in a certain way that they must be over there doing it.
Right.
So now this do have an issue with me because you think I'm over here doing it, but okay, that's what you think because of your perspective. You can't see past that,
And that's the
issue.
crux of dysfunction in society, that we assume so much, and then we act and react on our assumptions, which 90%, or I say 95% of the time, we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
When you assume about a person, but I say we can easily, if the situation, of course, lends to this, have a discussion. Because I'd rather ask me than assume anything about me.
Yeah, of course.
Because now you've penalized me or you mistreated me, and you really don't have the truth, or you don't have a clear understanding of the matter. And I'm sitting here saying I'm available. Anytime you want to talk, I'm open.
Yep.
Anytime you want to ask me a question, but never assume. Because what do they say about assumptions?
They're not facts.
And it's very true. But we do it all the time.
Yeah.
So my thing rests on the understanding of become educated,
Mm-hmm.
know what you're accepting,
Yeah.
understand why you're accepting it,
That's true.
and do what you need to do for yourself.
Yeah, and then even like when we started off earlier, just speaking, I mean, for us that are believers or those who want to reach out and pray to God or, just use their faith. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I'm like, even if they're to the point where they're saying this, if it is whatever against us, if we take it or this and that, after you get educated, like, listen, walk on the word. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Every tongue that rise up against me, judgment will be condemned. Like, and that's the thing about being a believer. And God said that we're in this world, but not of it. Mm-hmm. And so we do have to follow the lands of the law. Yes, we are impacted by things that happen in this world system. I get it. Like, honestly, we are.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, my faith trumps all of that.
Yes.
So, like God said, all things can work out together for your good. Like, He determines all of that. So I think as believers, and that's one thing I've heard some believers, and myself, I've got kind of caught up of some of the things that have been said. Oh, we're going to be locked down. They sending the guards, the National Guard. Like, I'm like, I don't care who they send. Like, as long as Jesus is going to still be with me, it's going to be rough. I might want to give up a few times. I don't know, but I have to believe. I have to choose to go with my faith and believe that. Listen, as for me and my household, we're gonna be straight. If we don't have nothing but peanut butter and a loaf of bread,
We gonna be good.
when that run out, God can send somebody knock on the door with a bottle of water, and we're going to make it by all means necessary. May not be as comfortable as we want to
But
be,
we're gonna make
or
it
the
through
way.
this.
But the God that we serve says, "Listen, I got you, boo. I have you. I have you." So I think for us, we have to remember, yes, get that education. We want to, because we'll do the opposite. We'll have all this faith and not know.
Absolutely.
So balance,
Be
right?
clueless.
Balance.
Yep,
We
absolutely.
want to make sure we are balanced, even in our position in this, in us receiving, being partakers in this, on what the government or whoever is offering us, so we can make the most wise, educated, godly decision.
I love that. And I want to throw a caveat in here. If you
Mhm.
go back to the terminology, stimulus,
Yeah,
to stimulate.
yeah,
The money flowing, if we're not spending money, the economy will
Yeah.
come to a screeching
Exactly.
halt. So it's being able to give you money to be able to use it and purchase things and do what you need to do to
Circulate.
stimulate the flow of the economy.
yeah.
So now the stock market can go back up.
That's
Now
good.
your
Good point.
pensions and all of these different things you can see, because a lot of people have taken amazing hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they didn't even realize it.
Didn't see it coming.
Some of the people I talked to, they were like, and they went and checked, and they've almost been completely imploded.
Mm.
They didn't even realize it. And then they had established a good nest egg, but it's now almost completely gone, or some cases it was gone.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue, because you got people that's making all these accusations about what's going on, but they're not educated in those aspects of even, in that. You don't understand, because I realized that when I think Obama did like $300 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "No, you gotta go spend that money and circulate into the economy. And that's
Yeah.
what it's for." And
I
that's when
remember that.
the first time you kind of heard about it, and understood, like, yeah, the economy moves by how we spending our money, and if we're just not able to spend, even with the business, being closed and things like that, they don't really realize that. So what is to me, I'm like, a lot of you guys are saying these things, but what would be the end game?
Yep.
Yes.
Outside of it? Because
Yep.
that's the thing they're trying to do. I understand it, and I don't understand whatever end game you guys are trying to say they're trying to do by giving us money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I can think about some wild accusation like, okay, maybe they're trying to set up the times where we're going to be dealing with the mark of the beast. Well, I'm like, guess what? That's going to come. If you're a believer, you know when that time comes, it's coming. It's not going to be like we can fight that. So you know what? Why would I'm not going to try to fight something that's going to come anyway. So what is your end game? A lot of times I was like saying to somebody, when you're trying to tell me something that's against what I say I'm doing, what is your end game? Because my faith is my faith. So if I'm not trying to make you believe something, what is your end game? You trying to, So
And for a lot of people, it's really political.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
It's
is.
who they choose and want to see in the office and everything else. And I said, for me, it's not even close to political. It's about survival.
right.
And we are in survival mode,
Most
whether we
definite.
like it or not.
Most definite.
So that is the
Exactly.
reality.
Most definitely.
So we give our perspective, and we have to rest that some will receive it and some will not. So it does not necessarily become a tug of war, because that's not the mission or the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are deeply committed in your faith or whether you're struggling with your
Yeah.
faith, this is not a time for conflict.
Most definite.
And I want people to understand that this is a time for as much peace
Come on.
and understanding and alignment that we can possibly command. This is not the time when people are already in a position where they really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring,
Right.
for us to be in even more conflict than
Most
before.
definitely.
Do I call a thing a thing? Yes, I do. Do I speak reality? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Do I rest in the facts as much as I possibly can? I'm 99.9% there most of the time. But I'm also open to another's perspective if there's logic to it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to hear you out. I'm willing to have the discussion, and I say that's where we have to be. I'm not going to shut you down. I'm not going to blame you for what you don't know. I'm not going to ostracize you because you don't believe as I do.
Right.
We've got to get to a place where if we are really, truly God's children, we're role modeling that.
Yeah.
And God
Yeah.
is love.
Yes,
God
yes.
is understanding.
Amen.
God is forgiveness. He's everything but conflict and turmoil,
Mhm.
Right.
which we are very good at doing.
Mhm.
He's very much polar opposite of cherry picking who's going to make it into the kingdom and who's not.
The first shall be last, and the last will be first.
And I said, all you have to do is stand in the line and say, switch that line around. And the person who was last, when you turn it around, that person is first.
Switch it up.
And he said he knows us by the way we love one another.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like, is that what we're showing?
Yes.
You know, because the Bible breaks down any conflict. Paul did it a lot of times. He said, when in Rome, do as the Romans. He was breaking down the fact that whatever you're doing, you don't offend your brother.
Yes.
Even when you talk about eating pork or whatever you eat, it wasn't really talking about the food. It was saying, whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to offend my brother on whatever you believe. If you believe that you can't eat pork, then you won't make me not eat it. At the same time, I won't eat it in front of you. Yeah. So in the end, we looking out for each other, not ourselves.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times, people are not doing that. And that's why I get a problem with our people as far as believers. Like, that's the worst thing. Like, I can understand if you don't believe what I believe, I shouldn't have to worry about you. But the ones who say we believe the same thing, what are we in conflict with?
And that's what I say when you really try to understand why so many, especially the millennials, they can take or leave church. You've got to really begin to understand church hurt is deeply rooted. And once you've offended me or shown me something different or hypocritical, you're hard pressed. Now you got to work 10 times as hard to get me back to even believe that. Yeah. So what you're saying, or what you're all saying here today, is hugely critical. And we find ourselves inside of these situations which we cannot change. Because I wake up every day and I have to accept the fact that I cannot change the reality of the coronavirus. Because if I could, it would have been done. So now I say, Sabrina, how are you going to show up inside of this? And I have to make a decision every day. Go here, not going here. Gonna accept this, not gonna. I can do this, but I can't. I'm gonna call somebody else to do it every day.
Choices.
Isn't that amazing? Every day, even inside of being in a position to help other people, I have to realize I'm not the best suited to help everybody. I want to close this out with this. Because mental health, on the opposite side of the spectrum, mental illness, is really not even a buzz term in this moment. It is the reality that is soared off the Richter.
Yes, ma'am.
Depression, anxiety, suicidal ideations, all of these different things that if people were experiencing to some degree before, they've been exacerbated. I mean, it's to the next level now. So, Coretta, more so professionally, and from your perspective, what is your advice for someone who might be watching this and experiencing a number of different things, or they really know that they need mental health intervention? What would your recommendation to them be?
I would definitely say protect your personal space. One of the pastors that I also listen to, Pastor Michael Todd, he said it earlier in a video I was watching. He said, let's continue to be informed but not inundated. And we have to make sure that we're not overwhelming ourselves with the news reports and so on and so forth. And if it's, whether it's on Facebook or on the actual news on the TV, and if it is someone that has, like you're speaking of, mental issues, or they have symptoms of depression and they may have anxiety beyond just a situational thing of this, and they find themselves struggling with these symptoms day in and day out, and they may not have been diagnosed and they don't know where to turn to, I would say the biggest thing is when it comes down to us looking up stuff, please use your phones, get to someone that you can trust. Like we said, there are a lot of things that usually are open. They're not open anymore, but I do believe that there are still resources. It may take just more creative ways or extra steps to get the help that you need. Reach out to Sabrina, inbox me, get to someone. I believe that God will allow you to make it to someone, if it's even just by an inbox message, if you can't physically go to someone's office, so on and so forth. But know that none of us should have to suffer alone, whether that's mental health, whether that's financially, so on and so forth. We are in this world together, and you don't have to suffer alone. So I just want to put that out there. But there is hope. So as you see this or whatever else you see, I want you to understand that there is hope, whether it's through this or any other thing. But for those who are struggling with mental health issues, we are here. We want you to know that regardless of what doors are shut and closed, there are many doors and hearts still open, and that we're going to make it through this thing together.
That's beautiful. And I also want to say, as a caveat to that we can say now that virtual counseling in that realm has taken on a different face.
Yeah, it has.
Because creative therapy of the Palm Beaches, they're now doing music therapy
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of different resources that you can now navigate through. And even some yoga practices have transitioned to the online social media realm. So a lot of the different techniques or the different classes that they were hosting, you're now able to do them from the comfort of your living room instead of going and exposing yourself to others at this particular time.
Yeah.
So responsibility for self
Mm-hmm.
and seeking out alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm definitely going to do at the end of this particular show is to make sure that there are a myriad of options available for mental health intervention. Mobile crisis, I have confirmed, and I have been circulating it on social media. They're still up and running north, south, and west out into Belglade, Pahokee, and South Bay areas. And this is a service that you can call, and they will talk you through situations via the telephone, or if needed and you're in crisis, they will come out. Please just not discount 911 if you're in a state of psychosis, suicidal ideations, and things of this nature. The Baker Act is still in full effect. Law enforcement will come out and do what is necessary to make sure that you're transported to a mental health receiving facility if that's the case, so you can get the services that you need. But one thing in particular I'm going to emphasize here because I think is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us, whatever situation we're in, and I say us because I believe all mental health needs to be attended to. It doesn't necessarily subscribe to you having an illness or disorder, which is no problem at all. We don't believe in stigmas or anything of that nature. But I want to say, if you do know that you have a mental health illness or disorder, responsibility comes back into play. Mm-hmm. Meaning your continuum of care should be in place, whether it's a psychiatrist or psychologist or both, whether it's therapeutic intervention, which definitely should be a part of, whether it's medication, whether it's case management, whatever realm of services have been established on your behalf, or whatever else you need, it's now even more important that you be committed and responsible. So not just saying, oh, okay, I'll take my medication today, but I won't do therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll take my medication, but I'm not going in. Or a lot of the tele services have covered medication and prescriptions and different things of that nature. So there are a lot of workarounds. Mm-hmm. But if you already know that you have these issues to attend to, there is a responsibility to make sure. Mm-hmm. And if your continuum of care is not in place, that is not the decision to make now that it's not available to me, or I can't be accessible to it, or it's not available. That is not the case. Yep. It is just finding the remedy that works for your situation. And I say that insurance or not, because if you personally inbox or call me, I can give you a number of resources that are cost-free.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to be the whole bells and whistles, but it'll be enough to stabilize you through this situation, or prayerfully a part of what is coming will open up insurance, Medicaid for a period of time. Yeah. That is my prayer, and that's something I'm researching now, because there are a lot of individuals that still don't have insurance coverage for many different reasons. Monetary is one. So my emphasis is for you to take care of yourself from a professional and personal perspective, and to know that if mental illness or a mental disorder is your situation at this point, you are still worthy. It is the testament of many people some who will never say it, but it's nothing to be ashamed about. I say the level of being ashamed should come if you're not attending to yourself, because you're not taking responsibility for yourself. And Velpy, I'm going to let you close this out from a perspective of you do things differently professionally, but what do you recommend based on what you know and what you've been able to learn?
Well, first, I would like to address, anybody that's dealing with any mental issues, to first off, from what I know is to don't be afraid to trust and call on God, number one.
Amen.
From wherever you may know, prayer changes things. Prayer with faith. That means when you pray, believe it. Believe that the answer's going to come. Believe that the change is going to come. And don't be ashamed of whatever you're dealing with, for whatever reason you're dealing with it. Speak and communicate with ones that love you in your life, not just people that won't do anything about it, just want to hear your problems. Sometimes people just want to hear you, hear your business, hear what you're going through just to hear, but they're not looking to do anything. But those that you know that's really there to assist you. From my perspective, I'm not a professional, but I'll lead you to these ladies here. You can inbox and reach out to them. They're the professionals going to lead you to, if it's not even them, to somewhere else where you need to go and be spoken to.
Absolutely.
Because the worst thing you could do is feel ashamed and not address your issue and what you're dealing with. Address it. That's the best case. Open up to whoever you need to open up to. But while you're addressing it, that's the first step. Accept what you're going through, and then you make the next step to doing what you need to do that best works out for you. One thing I know that doesn't work out to address any situation is going to anything narcotics and drinking. Those type of things can only make it worse. And I've seen that firsthand, so I can speak on that. So I just say to you to encourage you that there is help. There is help to lead you out of it, to elevate you in your life, and you don't have to live worrying about keeping it in, holding it in. So I just want to encourage you in that, and trust and believe. Trust and believe. Even if you have to inbox me just to communicate, sometimes you just need to speak.
Just want to talk.
Just want to talk. You know, this is what we do this for. This is not just for entertainment purposes, just to be on video. This is to help different people that's going through different situations. And he might be around people that don't even, want to deal with that. You might be dealing around a bunch of people that's never dealt with that. So you reach out to the ones that do, that are experienced in it, and you will get the help you need.
That was excellent. That was presented in an excellent way. And both of you, well put. I want to emphasize, especially for those of you who may have people advance to you and want to talk to you, the most detrimental thing that you could do is sit and rest to somebody who's trying to pour out their soul to you, or really just be in the moment and present how they feel, is you present to them with judgment. And you present to them with inactive listening, which means you're presenting and emphasizing your points and you're not even listening to what they have to say. Sometimes people, honestly and truly, they really don't want advice. There are many times people are going to come to you and they just simply want you to listen. They want you to validate them. Not in their position or what they're doing, especially if it's wrong. You're validating them as a person, as a human being who has feelings, emotion, different things of that nature. And sometimes people want you to be the conduit to something greater, but you have to remain neutral. You can't take a position or take sides. Sometimes people want you to mediate. They want you to listen to both sides. Let them have the exchange that they need to have, and you take away what you need to take away. But if you're trying to filter and you're trying to control and you're trying to navigate for them, more than likely they're going to shut down. It's not going to lead to anything beneficial. So just know, in these days and times, you never know. Whether they're looking at you and they see your strength, whether they're listening to you and they love your voice, or where they see you and just how you're moving out here. Some people may choose you. But I want you to understand that if they choose you and you know you're not credentialed or in that position to really carry them to distance, you listen to them and embrace them and help stabilize them for that moment. And then you make the connecting calls or do what you need to do to get them to the proper people in the proper place. We dialogued here today from our hearts. And I thank you both for being able to do that. I'm not asking everyone to agree with what we said, because to each his own in perspective. But what I want you to know here today, rest on godly principles. It rests on professional advice. It rests on a sound understanding, research done, and a lot of different things that take us from a place of just having a conversation to having a meaningful conversation. Coronavirus, COVID-19, lockdowns, stimulus package, whatever you're looking at in today's society, my final message to you is God is. God will be. And God is the answer to every question outstanding at this point. But I embrace you and meet you where you are. And everybody at this table has said the same thing. If you do not have that relationship with God yet, hopefully we can role model and help draw you and embrace you in. But I want you to know that you're still worthy. And even greater than that, I want you to know that God still loves you in spite of it all. Thank you, and God bless you.